everyone, welcome to Greedy About Books. This time I've got so much to tell you about. One is about the book from the past, of course, like I had promised last time. And the other is a small part of my book haul from Delhi. I went to 5 bookshops in Delhi and I think I went slightly overboard. But out of that, there is this small section which I've been wanting to buy for a long time, a couple of books, and which I wanted to buy from an independent bookshop. So I've been holding on, checking on bookshops, seeing whether these books were there, but I found them all in Delhi. So that is the second part. Let me start with the book from the past. Today I have got this really wonderful book called Shogun, written in 1975 by James Clavell. And it went on to become a bestseller. So this book is set in 17th century Japan. Fascinating time, fascinating time in history when so many things were happening. So the author James Clavell got the idea for the book from a line in his daughter's textbook in which it was said that in 1600s an Englishman came to Japan and became a samurai. That was all. And James Clavell went on to write this humongous book. It is big, but it is fascinating. So one of the main protagonists is John Blackthorne. He is an English sailor and he's captaining a Dutch ship, and they get shipwrecked off the coast of Japan. So they land there, and the interaction between these Europeans and the Japanese, both of whom have never seen people like each other before. And then of course there is another whole power struggle happening between the daimyos, or these small lords who all want to become the shogun. So one of the daimyos is Toranaga, and actually he is based on a real life daimyo who became the shogun ultimately, called Tokugawa. If you are interested in knowing more about that era, then you can watch this Netflix documentary called Age of Samurai. It's brilliant and it is really engrossing. So that is that. But coming back to Shogun, it is a great read. It tells you about Japan in 17th century. So that is the book from the past. If you're interested in this kind of a historical read, please go read Shogun. It is as interesting today as it was when I read it many years back. So now we move on to the next section, which is about these books which I picked up from Delhi. And today I'll tell you about these books which I've been wanting for quite some time. And I'll start with World of Wonders by Amy Nirkumattal, in praise of fireflies, whale sharks and other astonishments. So this is non-fiction and it is about Amy Nirkumattal. She's actually a poet, and this is her first work of prose, and it is a collection of her essays in which she talks about her childhood, growing up and in America, growing up, and how the natural world helped her to deal with life. I haven't read it, but from what I have heard about it, it's a really wonderful read. And I read Amy's poems and they are beautiful. So this book is something that I really liked and picked up, World of Wonders. And now the next one is The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams. And Pip Williams, this is the debut novel of the Australian author Pip Williams, and she has done a great job here. I was so fascinated by the title because I love words, I collect words, and this is a dictionary of lost words. It is the story of Esme. Esme is a child in 1900, and her father and his team, they are collecting words for the first Oxford English Dictionary, and they discard some words. So one day Esme is sitting under the table where her father and his team are working, and she finds a small paper in which the word bondmaid is written, and that word is completely omitted from the dictionary. And she is the person who has taken it and found it. And Esme finds that there are so many words that are being discarded, and from these words she gets to understand life around her. So one book well known. Anyway, so Esme gets to know about life, and we find that in between the lines of history that has been recorded by men, there is an invisible narrative which tells you more about women, the actual stage of women, the state of women. So that is Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams, which was another book that I really wanted. So the next book is Ballet Shoes by Noel Streatfeild. by Noel Streatfeild, and it's a children's book. It was written in 1936, if I'm not mistaken. And I heard about it first in the movie You've Got Mail, where Meg Ryan, who is the owner of a children's bookshop, tells a customer in another bookshop about these books. So that is the first I'd heard about this. I have been brought up on a steady diet of Enid Blyton, Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, and so I've never heard of this when I was a child, but I wanted to read this so badly. So Valley Shoes by Noel Streatfeild is about three sisters, the Fossil sisters, who because of their name want their place in history. Fossil, Anyway, so Valley Shoes, there's this lovely cover. It's hardbound. I love hardbound editions, and so I will be reading this book. I love children's books. I love books. So yeah. And next is Oh William by Elizabeth Strout. Elizabeth Strout is an author whom I like. I have read an earlier book of hers called My Name is Lucy Barton, and this William is Lucy Barton's ex-husband. But you really don't need to read the other book to understand what's happening here. And Elizabeth Strout writes so meaningfully. What she writes about is daily life, human interactions, and what happens within human minds, and how they deal with each other, and tragedies in their lives, and small instances which affect them very deeply. Oh William by Elizabeth Strout is something that I'm really looking forward to reading. I am little way into it. I started reading it and I'm really loving it. So I'm glad I picked this up. Oh William by Elizabeth Strout. Now, Writers and Lovers by Lily King. So this book is something that I had on my list of books I think 2 years back, because every December I make a list of the books that I would have loved to read that year. And this was on that list, Writers and Lovers by Lily King, and it is fiction, and it is about Casey, who is a 30-year-old and who feels that her life is in shambles around her. She's dealing with the loss of her mother. She wants to be a writer, but she's a waitress for the time being. She doesn't know whether she can be a writer, and all the insecurities which come along with all this. While her friends and people who were with her are going much ahead in life, she finds that she's still a waitress, trying to reach where she wants to. And two men enter her life, and how their arrival affects her life and affects her ambition. So that is Writers and Lovers by Lily King. And now I'm coming to a book which I've been really wanting to buy. It is called Stories of the True by Jayamohan. Jayamohan is an author who has affected me deeply. I have read only one book of his. It's called Nooru Simhasanangal, written in Malayalam, and it deals with very powerful issues, and it asks very important and critical questions which affected and influenced me deeply. And Jayamohan has given up the copyright of that book, so anybody can publish it and read it. That is the kind of person he is, and Stories of the True is a translation of his essays and some of his stories. So all these stories have been translated from the Tamil by Priyamada Ramkumar, and I read about it in a couple of publications, and I saw an interview of Jayamohan with Kamal Haasan where they were discussing this book. If any of you are interested in hearing a lovely discussion about books, please go to YouTube and search for this interview between Kamal Haasan and Jayamohan and watch it. So this contains some of his popular works like The Elephant Doctor. Then there is Aram, and I think Nooru Simhasanangal has also been translated into in this book. Yeah, 100 Armchairs. So there are 12 stories in this, and I don't know, I think Jayamohan is an author who writes extremely well about issues that are very topical: caste, religion, oppression, exploitation, and the sheer will to come beyond all that. His protagonists are not heroes. His protagonists are not 100% likable sometimes. They have their own faults, but they are trying to deal with a system that is terribly against them. So Jayamohan is an author who I think everybody should read. Those of you who haven't started reading books yet, try to get a copy of Jai Mohan. If you can read it in Tamil, great. He himself translates it into Malayalam because he's very well versed with the language. So Malayalam also it's available, or if you do not know either of these languages, you can pick up this book, Stories of the True by Jai Mohan. Go to your local library. If you don't want to buy a book, go to a local library and see whether this is there and read it. You should read it. Everybody in this country, I feel, should have read Jai Mohan's books. So those were the books that, had been on my mind for quite some time and which I've been wanting to buy from independent bookstores. I'll come back to you next week with another topic and another thing about books that I'll be talking about, along with the book recommendation for the week. So until then, keep reading, keep smiling. See you, bye-bye.